Bob Green. I coached the Montana Tech Ore Diggers for 24 years before retiring after the 2010 season. Welcome to Butte, the home forever of the Cleverley All-Star football game. You know, I have a saying that passion fuels the endeavor, and Bob Cleverley's passion fueled this football game.
We're lucky to have Coach Cleverley set up this game and give us this gift. After you guys have experienced the banquet and the game, and after the players have experienced the entire week, hopefully everybody will understand just how lucky we are. This is a great celebration of our Class C communities, our camaraderie, our sportsmanship, and the friendships that we will develop. Coach Clev gave us this gift 30 years ago, and hopefully you guys will all discover how big of a gift this actually is.
When Bob Cleverley spoke, people listened, and that's just kind of the respect that people had for him across the state for 8-man football. And I'm just honored and privileged to be a part of it and continue to be a part of it in Clev's honor.
I believe he came across as a very, very honest man. When he said he wanted to do the best by the kids, showcase them in the 8-man All-Star game, that everybody believed him. He took kids to Washington, D.C. so that they could be in the nation's capital. That was a very important part of his life, his teaching also.
I got to know Clev through the game, and if there's a pure definition of what a gentleman is, Clev is the definition of a true gentleman, and was always forthright. You always knew where you stood with Clev, and that was the great thing about dealing with Clev, is that he was a true friend to the very end, and he was honest as the day is long.
Clev taught me a lot about life and about the game of football. His main object in coaching football was to develop young men. And Clev did that. He had a code that he lived by. We as coaches lived by, and the school lived by those codes. We expected you to perform as a gentleman and be a gentleman.
I met Coach Cleverley when I'd go down to Ennis to recruit his players, and sometimes it shouldn't be forgotten that when Bob Cleverley retired from active coaching, at that time he had won more games than anybody in the history of Montana coaching had ever won, college or high school. So guy did a tremendous job on the field. But then again, his passion, his enthusiasm carried right over, and it was a fit for us in Butte, Montana, and a fit for us at Montana Tech, and we're just really glad that we've been able to do it all those years.
One of my best memories of Bob Cleverley was in the morning after all the boys were out on the field practicing football, and we would sit in Bob Green's office and we would tell stories, he would tell stories about that wonderful game, and you just get this sense that he just loved the Class C football and the 8-man football, and he believed very strongly in having those boys play and have a venue to showcase their talents so that they would be recognized for the great game of 8-man football.
I get involved because I think it's such a great, it's a great deal for the kids graduating and their parents.
Probably the most rewarding thing I find about the Class C game is watching the various coaches, board members, volunteers that have played in the game. And now we're starting to see these young men that play where their fathers were the volunteers, the board members, the coaches. So it's really become steeped in tradition. And I really think that's kind of the design that Bob wanted to see of the game. Eventually the game in its 30th year now has really built a tradition.
Well, one of the reasons I'm part of the club is the interaction of the players with each other. Here you have players that come from all across the state, different teams, and they get to come here, get on the same team together, and work together to build a team by the end of the week. And it's just great to see these kids that are rivals during the season yet they can come together at this game and be part of the same team and get to know one another and make friends for life out of that.
Bob Cleverley, again, just showing the kind of guy he was. When he first showed up at Montana Tech, he would know everybody. You know, he would know everybody. I'd try and introduce him to somebody. He'd say, Coach, I already know Tony, or Coach, I already know Vera, Coach, I already know John. And he'd know everybody in the chow hall. He'd know everybody in the football complex. He'd know all the trainers. He'd know all the managers, because that's the kind of guy he was. And, you know, you can't help but think about Coach Clev and not have a smile on your face, because he's a wonderful, wonderful person.
First time that I met Cleb, obviously, was when I was in high school, and he was coaching at Ennis, and they were a tremendous football team. And I can always remember his teams were very well prepared, and but at the same time, when the game was over, he was a real gracious opponent, and one of those fellows that I came to know over time to just be a wonderful person.
I can remember when Coach Cleb found out that he was going to be ill. And I think one of the first things he did was he gave me a call and said, you have to make sure that this game and this clinic keeps going. And it was that important to him.